And really with the deferred sales trust, that's one of the really big things we provide for our clients is that truly passive cash flow where they exit working on their business, the money just gets invested and they just get a passive cash flow from the interest that that money produces, and it frees them up to pursue the things that they're passionate about. And most of you, if you've worked a lot of years like I have, there's things that give you life, and there's things that suck the life out of you. And oftentimes in a job, when we're in a job, when we're working, we just have to do those things that suck the life out of us. But when we get into that freedom mode, we can pursue the things that we have the most passion, the most fire, the most interest in, and we can really multiply our impact by working within our strengths.
No, I love it. Yeah, I think that's spot on. You said it so well. And I think the key thing here is discovering what is driving your exit. And I'd like to probably say that 80% are that freedom seeker, Dan. Hey everybody, welcome to a Capital Gains Tax Solutions exclusive video regarding capital gains tax exit planning. My name is Brett Swartz, founder of Capital Gains Tax Solutions. I'm with Dan Palmer, a top strategist. Dan, we're here today again to talk more about people that are exiting and have highly appreciated assets like we do every week. And today's topic is, what is your legacy archetype, right? We're actually kind of building this around a gentleman who created something called the Working Genius. His name is Patrick Lencioni, and he uses it for people that are working with others and figuring out strengths, weaknesses, what gives them energy and such. We're gonna use it kind of a little bit of a framework for people that are exiting, right? There's different seasons of life, different mindsets, different aspirations. And so I'm going to introduce the four, and then let's just dive in. The first one is called the Freedom Seeker. The Freedom Seeker, and this is defined as time, cash flow, life on your terms. The second one is called the Wealth Multiplier, growth compounding the next opportunity. The third one is called the Legacy Steward, family, giving, kingdom impact. The fourth one is called the Capital Protector, preservation, certainty, sleeping well. So Dan, let's start with the first one, the Freedom Seeker. So when you hear that archetype, what comes to mind for an entrepreneur or someone who's exiting a highly appreciated asset?
The Freedom Seeker sounds great because that's very motivating to me. So I think that one resonates with me, but I think it's the idea of having passive cash flow, like being in control of your life. Not that people want to retire necessarily. That's what people always think. Oh, they just don't want to work anymore. No, they don't want to work on someone else's schedule. They want to work when they want to work on what they want to work on. And so the Freedom Seeker is the one that says, hey, I want to get out of the daily grind, out of the 9 to 5, out of the hamster wheel. And I want to get to that place where I know that a certain amount of money is going to hit my bank account every month. And I can take my calendar and I can pursue the things that I'm passionate about. And really with the deferred sales trust, that's one of the really big things we provide for our clients is that truly passive cash flow where they exit working on their business, the money just gets invested and they just get a passive cash flow from the interest that that money produces, and it frees them up to pursue the things that they're passionate about. And most of you, if you've worked a lot of years like I have, there's things that give you life, and there's things that suck the life out of you. And oftentimes in a job, when we're in a job, when we're working, we just have to do those things that suck the life out of us. But when we get into that freedom mode, we can pursue the things that we have the most passion, the most fire, the most interest in, and we can really multiply our impact by working within our strengths.
No, I love it. Yeah, I think that's spot on. You said it so well. And I think the key thing here is discovering what is driving your exit. And I'd like to probably say that 80% are that freedom seeker, Dan. If I had to peg it, maybe 70, 80% are that freedom seeker. Every, I think, seller is probably motivated by the blend of the four archetypes, right? But I would say there's probably a main one, kind of like if you look at personality types and you probably have a main one and you have a secondary. And so the freedom seeker, just to add, is, time, cash flow, and life on your terms is how we would probably, define it. And the exit is ultimately about the personal freedom and also the family freedom. It's buying back your time and converting a demanding, illiquid asset into dependable, truly passive cash flow. Or It could be Bitcoin or stock that's not necessarily demanding of your time, but it may be emotionally to have to wait to see as it goes high or goes low, or is it going to hit this certain number, and you're done with either that roller coaster, or you're done with the toilets and trash and the weight of active operations of a business or real estate. And what you want most is the margin to live, to give, and the adventure without being tethered to a job or a property or a single asset. I think the drivers are, of course, truly passive income. And that's that monthly number, Dan. We define that here at Capital Gains Tax Solutions, right, as $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month or more. It could be whatever your number might be. But it's consistent, it's durable. And instead of chasing the highest return, you just want consistency and durability of that cash flow coming in over time, which ultimately gives you kind of the peace of mind. You want to get out of the day-to-day management. We talked about that, and any liability that's associated with owning real estate or having a lot of debt. Debt can be a very, a heavy weight for people, especially when the interest rates have gone up quite how they have. And then ultimately, time freedom to be present with family and pursue purpose. Some of the things to watch out for or to be careful of is, settling for too little growth and outliving over conservative income. So you want to make sure that truly passive income and the interest of which is earning behind that to produce that income is still within a good, range. You don't want to outspend, that number, right? Those are just some of the things, right? And so I think the key here is the freedom seeker is probably most of them. Let's go to the second one. Dan, you ready?
Yep.
This one's called the wealth multiplier, right? So the exit is more of a launch pad, and you see it not as a finish line, but a fuel for the next bigger move. Talk about some of the clients that we've worked with who are more of that mindset.
Yeah, this is also a pretty big percentage of our clients, primarily the younger guys and gals, the people that are on maybe their first exit, and they're like, I'm not ready to take my $5 million, invest it at 10% and get $500,000 a year and tap out of the game of life and just go to a beach somewhere and lay around. I still have dreams and passions, and I want to build and I want to create and I want to accomplish things in this short amount of time I have on this earth. And so they want to take that capital and they want to reinvest it in the next project. We call it joint venture partner with the trust. And so basically you have this opportunity to take this money and invest it in your next kind of dream or your next business or your next piece of real estate and build all over again. And so the wealth multiplier is you start off with that first exit, that first appreciated asset, and you don't just stop there. You take that and you multiply that money into maybe multiple other assets, and then you have this kind of stream of exits over the rest of your life. And so a lot of our clients are really into that because that's the fun, right? It's the fun of real estate. It's the fun of building a business and seeing how big it can get, how big of an impact it can make, how much money it can bring in. All of those things aren't ends in themselves. You're like, oh, you're only about money. No, I'm about building, and I'm about success. I'm about challenging myself. I'm about accomplishing something. And the wealth multiplier doesn't just want to exit and go off and live the rest of his life in retirement. The wealth multiplier wants to take that money and turn it into other assets or other businesses and continue to make it grow.
Love it. Yep. So the exit is the launch pad. It's almost like the momentum opportunity to free up the capital into something liquid using our trust structure, and then to redeploy it into something typically illiquid, like back into another business or property. And really, I think this is defined as, as the wealth multiplier. You want the maximum amount of capital working, compounding, tax deferred, really important. And you are comfortable being active and opportunistic with where it goes next. And so the risk tolerance tends to be higher. And you love the flexibility, like you're an active entrepreneur and you want to be able to make moves when it makes sense. Like, so using our trust structure and the way we set it up, the way we work with you with the JV partnerships is really key. The timing is now on your side. It's no longer a 1031 rush deal. Timing is now your friend. It's not your the box that you're put in with like a 1031 exchange. You're also going to use the rule of 72, and you're saying, hey, how long can I compound and earn about 10% over 7 years and double my money, right? Or 10% 7% over 10 years and double my money. Some of the things to watch out for, you want to make sure that you're not over concentrating and chasing that next big deal too hard, meaning putting too much of the capital into one deal. You might have delayed the trust from paying you for a couple years, but you don't want to put it into so much of a deal that perhaps the risk is not properly accounted for. Also, you want to be careful not to neglect the estate and legacy structure while focusing on growth, meaning if your estate tax is above a certain number, that is something you want to be aware of. Also, not letting the deal define you rather than your mission. Having a clear family mission, vision, values for your wealth, and understanding how that fits into what stage of life you're in, whether you're in the warrior stage, king stage, or sage stage. You want to be aware of that, and sometimes that can be tough for hard-driving entrepreneurs. Which leads us into the third one, which is the legacy steward dam. And this one's all about your exit is about your legacy. Like this is kind of the, you're more of the sage. You're moving into the sage, or you're recognizing that you're, the warrior king stages are more likely than over, and you're okay with that, right? You're really focused on what flows to your family, the causes you believe in, the generation and the generations after you. So talk a little bit about these sellers that we work with, Dan, and kind of their mindset and their values and their focus.
So I probably have a little bit different perspective on this than maybe even Lencioni has in his book, which I haven't read yet. But I would put the kids and the legacy piece of family generational wealth in the capital preservation. And I would look at the legacy steward as someone that wants to build something immaterial with their life, something in the spiritual range, something that impacts other people generationally beyond their life. It's like the Bible says, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? And I think the humanitarian piece is our soul. It's the caring about something more than just the little bubble of your world that you live in, and what possessions you have and what vacations you go on, and lifting your eyes up and saying there's a whole world out here with needs that me, as a hand of God, and whether you're a follower of God or not, it doesn't matter. You are a hand of God. You found yourself here. You didn't make yourself existent. You were created and you were placed here, and you have within your power your skills, your knowledge, your wisdom, your wealth to go out into that world and literally change the destinies of people that you meet through giving, through speaking, through sharing, through mentoring. There's so many ways that you can make an impact on the world. And so the legacy steward for me is that person that says, I've exited, I have this wealth now. I've kind of reached what most people say, this is the goal of life, to be free, to have passive cash flow, to not be beholden to anyone. But now what? Now what? Where's my purpose going to come from? Where's my meaning going to come from? Where am I going to make a difference? Where am I going to leave my mark on the world? Where is this legacy of my wealth not just being a material thing, but a tool? The material thing is I have the wealth for myself, but it becomes a tool when you deploy that wealth to change the world that you found yourself in. And we do have a lot of people like they're like, hey, I kind of have my cause that I'm excited about. And I always tell people, it doesn't matter what your cause is. There's a lot of different causes that are very worthy. Find something that moves your heart and get engaged there. And I think the legacy steward takes that wealth, and they don't just kind of hoard it and keep it for themselves to be safe and secure. They're saying, how do I leave my mark on this world with this wealth that now I've kind of attained and got hold of?
So beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And yeah, it's the generational eternal impact, and it's thinking about multiplying that impact now for your family, but also the causes and the people and the most vulnerable people, is what we call them MVPs. And charitable and giving is really the focus here. Also, being aware at this point, you may be above the $30 million exemption amounts for estate tax, or 15 million single, married 30, and you're going to be really focused also more on the elimination of estate tax rather than just capital gains tax and income tax, which are also important. But it's like you're working your way into that next level and being aware of that and doing the proper planning for giving or for giving to charity, or just getting estate tax elimination. One of the beautiful things about our second trust structure that we offer, it allows for the elimination of the estate tax, which is huge. And so, yeah, so much more. We'll wrap it up with this very last one. It's called the Capital Protector. And this is about, the exit is about protecting what you have built. Right, so you've worked too hard to gamble it. Maybe you've gone through some things in the past where you invested and it didn't turn out too well. Your priority is preserving principal. It's diversification. It's getting out of debt. It's reducing risk and volatility, and it's converting maybe a single concentrated asset into that diversified, secure base that lets you sleep well at night, right, and take care of your family and take care of yourself, and it's probably maybe a little bit more of that $1 to $3 to $5 million range of the exit, and it's definitely about like, hey, now I'm ready to protect maybe what you've built for so long, and this is like your one shot to do it. Dan, talk briefly about that, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, I think it's about de-risking. Like you get to the point where you say, okay, now I've earned and I've worked and it's paid off, and maybe I don't have the energy or the years to rebuild again from scratch. And when you're young, it's part of the risk you take, right? 'Cause you're like, hey, if I lose it all, let's go earn it all again. Let's do the next thing and it'll work out. And so you kind of have this freedom, but as you get older, you start saying, hey, I don't, I never saw it when I was young, but yeah, I don't have the same energy. I don't have the same drive. I don't, my motivation to work really hard to build something from scratch has waned as I've gotten older. And so I want to take the things that I built and I want to de-risk it and invest it in things that kind of guarantee that I'm going to be okay through the later years of my life. And so I think that's what episode 4 is about.
Absolutely. And so again, capital preservation, diversification, consistent, durable income, and then watch out. So you want to also be careful not to over concentrate, but you also want to make sure that you're investing in, it's not such low risk that you're not keeping pace with inflation, right? And you want to be aware of just your tax liability. You might move to a new state to establish new tax residency to get lower taxes on the income that comes off of the trust. You might sell multiple assets to combine it into one trust so you can get a little bit more working for you. These are just some of the things that we're here to help you through. And again, this is a combination. If you're selling, you're probably a part of all 4. What percentage of each one is really up to you. We want to help you, think through that, guide you through that. We're here for you. If you have a large exit of real estate, stock, Bitcoin, primary home, and you're wanting to build a capital gains tax exit plan with intentionality and purpose and flexibility, we want to encourage you to go to Capital Gains Tax Solutions to get started today. You can also check out the book, Building a Capital Gains Tax Exit Plan, that lays out a lot of the thoughts that we've been talking about today. So appreciate you watching or reviewing this. Share this with someone it could be encouraging to. I'm Brett Swartz, he's Dan Palmer, and we'll talk to you again real soon. Bye now.